Hello and welcome to another episode of the Construction Corner podcast. I'm Dylan, I'm your host, and today it's just going to be me. I'm going to have a little conversation with you guys, a little talk, little things about what's been going on, mainly in my life, and just some things I've been thinking about. So point really number one goes to really a few things. Community goes to the vibe and feel of a city, and it goes to being an example for other people. So recently I ran the San Francisco Marathon. It's the first marathon I've done in 3 years, since 2018, 4 years basically, since I've done like an actual full marathon. So in 2019 I ran a few ultra marathons, and 2018 into 18 I ran a few ultra marathons, and then beginning of 18 I'm pretty sure I ran a full marathon. Anyway, it's been years since I've done like an actual just marathon distance, and years since I've done a city marathon. And I've done a ton of city marathons. So living in Louisville in the Derby Marathon, that was my first one. It's pretty cool. You run through Churchill Downs, things like that around Louisville. Really a great atmosphere, great environment. People come out, they support. It's a good time. It's between Thunder Over Louisville, which is the largest fireworks show in North America, or I think in the Northern Hemisphere. I think maybe Russia has a bigger fireworks show. But anyway, it gets aired on the military network for Thunder Over Louisville. And then, the week after the marathon is Derby. So big kind of going on, happening, party for that marathon. And it's a good time, right? Louisville's not that big a city, right? 1 million people in the metro. And just a good time. I've run Indianapolis, Detroit, done the Wright-Patterson Air Force Marathon. And then the big city marathon that I've done is Chicago, right? 45,000 people come out for just the marathon. It's on October. It's Columbus Day weekend. And like 1.2 million people come out to spectate the marathon, right? So the city really comes out in force for it. It's just a great event, a great day. People are drinking, having fun, spectating the race, following their runner around, right? It's a fantastic time. And in all these city marathons, maybe not so much Right Pat, because you're on base for a lot of it. So you're like, I remember running down the runway for like 2 miles and no one's around, and you're just running like along a airstrip. It's just like there's nothing. So that's pretty boring. And again, you're on base, so like you don't expect people to be there. But on the spots where people could be, right, outside spectators, non-military personnel, they came out in force. Like it was a good event, great showing in and around Dayton. And then, here running the San Francisco Marathon, it was different. And the thing that I want to point out too is for like all these races, the aid stations, so where you get water, fuel for anyone that's not running a marathon, they have them every few miles typically, for water and food, drinks, all that kind of stuff. It's all volunteer based. Like they don't pay these people to come out. Usually it's some community people that come out to do it. It could be owners of a running store or a triathlon thing or some restaurant or somebody that just wants to do it, and they get a group of people together and they man the aid stations, right? They man the water booths throughout the race. And it's always it's a good time for Ironman, for any of these events that I've done. Like a lot of the community comes out, right, in these local communities to do it, to support the runners, to support people in their communities, right? Again, whether it's Chicago, Indianapolis, Louisville, the ones that I've done in Tahoe and Berkeley, California, a few years ago when I did some trail runs. And trails are a different breed and different event, but usually, you get some good support, and I don't expect like a ton of people to come out, right? For a trail run, there's usually like 300 people. So, if there's 2 people at that aid station, you feel good about it, type of thing, right? But in these big city marathons, the point that I'm really making here is that it's about community, right? It's about people coming out and supporting people, being a part of the community, whether they're supporting a runner, just cheering people on, whatever it might be. Like it's a good feeling to be around that, right? And to see your community come out. And like even in Louisville, we run past a biker bar in the West End, which is not the nicest part of the city. And there's guys out there, cheering people on, right? It's like 9 in the morning or 8 in the morning or whatever time we start, and having a beer. Like, that's what you want to see, right? It's like America, is people coming out, supporting, cheering, and having a good time. And that's what we're about, right? We're cheering people on. We're, excited for other people's accomplishments, and we cheer on, people that are doing great. And I think that's something that we maybe forget. So one, is volunteers. Two, community events. Three, just saying thank you, right? Thanking the volunteers, thanking the police officers for blocking traffic and making sure that we don't get run over by a bus or anything like that during these races, especially in city marathons, right? There's a lot of police that are out, again, primarily to block traffic, so that, we can get across the street safely, traffic, flows when it needs to, all that kind of stuff is super important for these races and events. And the reason I'm bringing this up, and it's not to really talk about running, it's to talk about community. And, in construction, we are community focused, driven people, right? We do things in our communities. We build buildings in our communities. We support the local restaurant. Like, I was up the mountain the other day, and even this morning I was up at a little local coffee shop. And the one that's up the mountain further, there's a lot of tree workers and just construction guys that go up the mountain, and it's kind of it's a great place. And a lot of people stop in, and I bet by and large, Monday through Friday, that business is sustained by the construction guys, by the tree workers, the guys that are trimming trees or cutting them down, or the loggers, the asphalt guys, the whatever. On the weekends, it's more, the guys coming to mountain bike and all that kind of good stuff, and tourists, whatnot. But I'm sure like a core of the business is guys going to work. They stop in for a breakfast sandwich and a cup of coffee. And I think that we forget that, right? The food trucks that come to your job sites to feed your crews, right? That are owned, it's a family run business, much like your construction company. It's a mom and pop deal. Maybe they got their kids or their brother or cousin that are working for them, and, in that food truck, or whatever it is, right? Same thing that runs in your business is it's a lot of family. It's a lot of people that or they've become family to you. And I think that we miss out on a lot of that. And what I noticed in San Francisco was really the degradation of that city, and really the state of affairs of what San Francisco has done to itself. There was nobody that showed up. San Francisco, it's a big city, right? Like, the San Francisco metro population, I'm going to look it up like right here, in 2022, according to Google, is $3.3 million, or $3.3 million people, right? The Louisville metro population is 1.395, so 1.4 million people. So the current metro population of San Francisco is like double, right? Louisville, 1.4, 2.8, like over double Louisville. And for the San Francisco Marathon, there were 4,000 people that ran it. There are more people that run the Louisville Derby Marathon than that. Like, it's just crazy. Nobody showed up. No one was there. And it's insane to me that a big city marathon, right? San Francisco, big city, big population. It's not LA or Chicago or New York, but it's a big city. And I was just amazed that no one was there. The streets were empty. Like, there wasn't a soul around for the majority of the race. The aid stations were sparsely manned. Nobody said thank you outside of myself and maybe a couple others, to the volunteers, to the police officers. Like, there was no community involvement, no community support. And I really think it goes to show, what has happened to the city. And this is my first time around the race. It could have been like this for years. I don't know. But to me, it's indicative of really the culture there, that people don't come out and support. People are not community oriented. Even on the race, like, I'm joking about more cowbell and having a good time and, trying to crack some jokes. And, man, people were not having it. They're all listening to their own AirPods. They were in their own heads. They were not, jovial. There are a few people I got to like crack a laugh or I talked to or whatever, but it's just so indicative of people being in their own little shell, of not being a community, not engaging, not interacting. And our phones, as great a tool as they are, I think they take away a lot of this. People couldn't be outside or without music, without outside distraction, without uh, other information pumped in their head. And I'm a guy that likes to run with, listen to podcasts and books and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like, I ran this race with no headphones in. I was there to talk to people, meet people, take in the sights, not just focus on my own 2 feet in front of me. And I think this is just very indicative of a culture, a place that in all reality is just disconnected. They don't take care of their people. They don't have a culture. It doesn't have a vibe. It's just kind of a dead city, and it's sad to me. It's just really, really sad that that's the state of affairs there. Again, compared to all these other races I've done in the community and people being, thankful and grateful for volunteers and people there to give water. It felt like people are entitled that they, need to get water from these volunteers again. Like, volunteers, right? These people are not paid to be there. They're not part of the race organization. Like, it's that type of stuff that just, the entitlement is just, it's frustrating. And I don't know what to say on it. It hurts me that a city like San Francisco that has so much potential, has built so many things, has spawned so many great companies, has done a lot, has gone downhill like this. And, the history that's there, the trades that have been built, the buildings that are there, like, there's a lot of good things, as much as I shit on the city, that they have done in the past. It's just gone to hell in a handbasket. And I hate to see that for, it's historically a great, iconic American city. No matter what you want to say about California, again, I'm not the biggest fan of the state, even though I live here. So I get it, guys. Like, I do. But the other thing that I wanted to bring up in this, I'm not going to leave it on a sour note, guys, but the other thing I wanted to bring up is you need to be the example for everybody around you. You need to set the standard, to hold yourself to a higher level of accountability, because you honestly never know who's watching. You don't know who's going to draw inspiration from you. You don't know who's going to want to do something because of what you've been able to do, right? Whether that's you built a company up, you're doing millions of dollars, doing all these great projects, and you don't know who you're going to inspire to come on and build their own company, right? And it could be in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years that they're going to, make that jump or leap, all because of a conversation that they had. You look at all the guests that we've had. They've had similar stories, right? They went to somebody's house in high school and had a conversation with him, and he was doing well, and he had a boat and a house that was paid for, and, some stuff, right, that was cool to a 16-year-old kid. And he was like, man, well, shit, I'll go into the trades. I'll do that. And then they start their own business 10 years later. Things like that, those conversations that happen matter, right? That setting the example, that being the person that others look up to is important. It is so important for you to be the example for other people, whether you know them or not. You need to share those stories, share those examples, share those things for other people to relate to know about. It does matter. For example, this marathon, the San Francisco Marathon, and I was supposed to run this in 2020, but we all know it happened. So, and with a buddy, right, a friend, and it was going to be his first marathon, still was his first marathon, and I was going to drag him through it, right? I was going to be the pace car, I was going to set the example, and I was going to run it with him, right? I was going to be that person to help him through. This is the third person that I've run their first marathon. Actually, my wife, I ran her first half marathon. She never wants to do a marathon, but to do the half. And it's all because I've set the example, just like the women who I started running with, who were this was when I was 21, they were in their early 40s. I started running with them, and I ended up doing marathons because they had already done, 5, 8, 10 marathons, whatever. One of them, her husband was a big cyclist. Another one was a Ironman. So that got me on that whole journey of that, right? Someone set the example for me. I set the example for others. Now they're setting the example for others, right? I ran the first half marathon with my wife, girlfriend at the time. One of her friends was like, well, okay, I'll go do this. And I ran her first marathon with her, and kind of set that, deal. I ran, that was in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which again, another like small town race that a ton of more people came out in Kalamazoo, Michigan, with a smaller population than came out in San Francisco, which is just amazing. But ran that in Kalamazoo, I've run Nashville too. That was a big race. A lot of people came out, but ran with another guy. His first marathon was in Indianapolis. Ran that with him, pulled him through it, trained with him while I lived there. And then this buddy kind of helped him keep accountable, and we ran the San Francisco Marathon together, and again, pulled him through. So, and then he started messaging people at his work, and he works at Autodesk on their cloud side, and a bunch of people within his group wanted to start running races. So you never know what that ripple effect is going to be. I could see it kind of in real time, right? Inspired him to run a marathon, trained for it, ran it. Other people saw that he finished, meaning that other people were going to get inspired and go and run their own race. And again, whether they run a 5K, a 10K, and I've had a lot of people that have done those races too, right? They ran their first 10K, they ran their first half marathon, all because they could see me running these big races, right? Being and doing Ironman, ultra marathons, right? If I can run 50 miles, you can run 6, it's that type of thing. It's that setting the example. It's that being the example for others that really allow you to show what is possible. And you have to show those wins. You have to tell the stories of doing that. And we try to do it here on the podcast. I honestly should be better about putting it out on other media, doing other videos, through YouTube and everything else. But I share those stories here with you guys because I want to get it out, and I want to let you know that what you do matters, right? Even if it's to the 5-10 people around you, that ripple effect does matter, right? Then they touch another 5 or 10, and then they touch another 5 or 10, right? You go 3 orders of magnitude out, you're touching hundreds of people, right? And so your impact, your example does matter. People are watching you. Again, even if it's the people in your own house, in your company, the 10 people around you, are watching you. They are seeing what happens. They are looking to you for an example. Whether you want to be one or not, that's totally up to you. If you just want to be the dependable guy that shows up to work, awesome. If you want to do more than that, great. If you want to do something extraordinary, go for it, man. Really go for it. It does matter. And I think we don't always value those pieces because we don't necessarily see the results. But it's going to take time. You have to stay dedicated to that mission and cause for years. Because that's what it's going to take to be great. And I think we ultimately miss on, the time delay for some of these things. But you have to take joy, take great fulfillment in being great, being the best possible version that you can be. And the thing that I'm going to wrap this up with is one other story. So I've heard this plenty of times, done a lot of personal development and done a lot of, reading and looking at the SEAL teams, and I get inspired by a lot of those movies. We actually just went and watched Top Gun Maverick for the second time. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend to go and do that. But we did it at outdoor theater, which the seats were rough. By the end, my butt was a little sore, but it was under the stars. So it was really cool, environment, atmosphere to go and watch a movie, right? You were on these pine bleachers, and you'd look up and you'd see the stars, right? We're doing it. It's at Alpine Lake here near me. It's about 6,000 feet. It's, I think the elevation of that, maybe 5,500. I forget what Pinecrest is at, but anyway, it's up there. But there's nothing for miles, so you can clearly see the stars. But in watching all these military movies, reading some SEAL books about the teams and how they were founded, and books by team guys, it's inspiring stuff, man. I never went in the military. I never took that path, but I'm just inspired about these guys that are operating at the highest levels, that are truly tip of the spear guys. It's exciting. It's cool. And I'm just a fan. But the thing that kind of stuck and I experienced firsthand here recently is slow, smooth, smooth is fast. And what that means, and I actually get to experience it, is that by going slower, right, slowing down to where your actions are smooth, they're calculated, you're able to execute efficiently, right? You're not making a mistake and having to go and redo something. It becomes faster. And the example that I want to give is I started shooting handguns. I got a SIG 226, and honestly, it's twice as much as a Glock, probably twice as heavy, and I don't necessarily have a brand or anything like that. It's just what I purchased as my first handgun. I went and actually got training because I shot a lot of rifles, but I've never really shot handguns. I've taken some courses and stuff in college. We actually had a shooting club at the university I went to, and it was cool, right? We got to go and do that, do training, and again, something that I'd never experienced. So I went and I paid for training and gone and done that. And one of the trainings that I did was the US PSA style shooting, where you have a box about 10 feet to, depends on where you start, but 10 feet to like the right. There's another box, and then there's a third box, another 10 feet, right? So you have 3 boxes that are 10 feet apart, and they're like a 2-foot square. So and there's targets like directly in front of them. So you start in one box, you move to the next, shoot 2, move to the next, shoot 2, right? So you draw, shoot 2, you get 6 shots off, and it's all timed, right? And they have a timer that's noise sensitive, so whenever a shot goes off, it can do the times and all the splits and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool, actually. And in going through this, because you're going to have to reload at some point, through it, and we did, trainings where we were kind of forced to reload. Like you just put 2 in a clip, and then you got to reload, for each box. And what I found is that and again, all this is timed. So this isn't something that you necessarily see in your own life. And it's hard to make the analogy and make the shift to how does this work and function in my own life. And if I hadn't seen it through timing of shots and reloads and like actual like time, I would never have thought this, right? And again, the adage is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Is when I slowed down on those reloads, right? Like I was thoughtful about it in dropping it, grabbing, reload, all that. When I was slower, according to my brain, right? When I slowed my actions down, I was actually faster. And it was like 2 times faster in those spots, right? Like I dropped, significant time off of going through those 6 shots and moving between boxes and everything else. So if I hadn't seen with my own 2 eyes, this wouldn't have made sense to where slower can be faster. But slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And what that means for many of you, right, in construction is slowing down to think about what you're doing, slowing down to think about your job, slowing down to put, in the field, like to put the bolts in the right place, to not go so fast that you miss and have to redo it, to be where your feet are, to be in the present moment, to really think through what it is that you're looking to do. That matters. That's what slow is smooth, smooth is fast means. When you slow down and you're smooth with your actions, right? You're think through design. You're not rushing through things. You're not trying to blow through it just to get it done. When you slow down, when you're not multitasking, you will actually be faster. Again, it's hard to get your brain around, but I learned it being out on the range, right? Being out, shooting, seeing my times. It made a difference, right? Like it clicked that this is why they say that in the teams at the highest levels. And it's slow, smooth, smooth is fast. because you don't want to mess up, right? When you're the tip of the spear, you do not want to make a mistake. So by being slower, by being methodical, by calculating your efforts, your motions, every movement, everything that you do, full control at all times, that matters. It matters a lot. And you will actually be faster because of it. Now, it might not seem like it to your brain, but in reality, you will, right? And that's the other thing, too, is that it's all a perception. You're perceived to go faster. You're perceiving yourself to go slower. When in reality, it's different, right? But time's made up anyway. So, it's something that we've agreed on, right? What a second is, what a minute is, what a time zone is. It's all made up. So your perception isn't always reality. And we have to remember that. It's slow, smooth is fast. And we can move faster than we ever thought by slowing down. To recap, guys, here's the deal. Be involved in your community. Do your part. It matters. Matters a lot. 2, what you do in your actions inspire other people. It really does. You might not see it, but I think if you take a minute, think about it, look around, it does. Your actions do inspire other people. They do encourage other people to do other things, right? To do great things with their lives. Again, it can be running a marathon, then they feel really great about themselves. It could be a half marathon to feel really great about themselves. It could be that first 5K to feel really great about themselves, right? What is that worth? It's worth a lot. To make somebody feel great about what they're able to do, feel better about their accomplishments, feel like they're on fire. That is cool. So set the example, be the example. Say thank you, be grateful for people that come out and support, that are there to cheer you on, that are there to help you in any way possible, right? Whether it's in your business, at a race, whatever it is, be grateful and thankful for those people that are there to help and support you along the way. And lastly, slow, smooth is fast. Slow down, be thoughtful, be diligent in what you're doing, and you will move faster. Take the time to be where you are, be in the present moment, and that matters a lot. So guys, that's this episode of the Construction Corner podcast. Thank you all for listening. If you love this show, share it. It's probably one of the better solo episodes I've done in a long time. If you think so too, go ahead and share it out with a friend. We appreciate you. Take a screenshot, tag Matt and I, and love you guys. Talk to you next time.